besties, if you are new here, welcome to my thug life. My name is Nella Masugu and this is Growth with Nella. If you are a returning bestie, welcome back, bestie. Thank you so much for tuning back into the channel. Today's video is going to be on the things that I have struggled with. It is going to be a bit tricky considering I am not one to talk, I am not one to share what I go through, and I'm not one to talk much about my feelings in general. However, I did say this is a growth channel, and part of growing up for me has been facing a lot of difficulties, challenges, and struggles throughout my teenage years. So yeah, trigger warning to anyone that might be triggered by any of the topics that we're going to be discussing on the video. I do have timestamps on the description box in case you want to check those out to see which topics you'd want to skip through, if you know you're gonna get triggered and if you know that the topics are sensitive to your heart, please skip through those. The biggest thing I've struggled with and I'm still struggling with right now is trusting people. I have what people would call trust issues. It's not nice over here, but I have them. I'm trying so hard to deal with them. I'm trying so hard to move past them. I'm trying to, not let them suffocate my life in general. However, that is a bit difficult because people have been proving to me almost every day why I generally do not trust people. It's like when you try to tell yourself, oh, it's okay, I'm gonna start trusting people, someone does something and you're like, never mind, run it back. Do you understand? But I do have trust issues. A lot of them stem from things that I have gone through. Another thing that I struggle with is the fear of the unknown. One thing about me, I need to know. I need to know. I need to know why. I need to know who. I need to know what. I need to know when. And I need to know why. Yeah. And I said why twice because the biggest fear that I have is not being able to control something. I understand that certain situations can't be controlled, but I feel like when you don't know a situation, you can't control it at all, right? So you can't necessarily keep out the bad things from happening or stop the bad things from happening, like you just don't know anything. So in a sense, it's like you have to sit back and relax and just let things unfold and be okay with how they unfold. I don't like that. I need to know. If I can stop something from happening, let me stop it. If I can control something and have it go a certain way, let me control it and let me make it go, or rather let me handle it my way. I'm not a control freak. I am not a control freak. I just don't like not knowing stuff. Another thing that I struggle with is expressing myself. I cannot express myself, and because of that, my communication skills are not necessarily that great. I can't speak about how I feel. I can't speak about what I'm going through. And I cannot speak about the things that bother me, if I can say, right? Growing up, to me, expressing your emotions and expressing your feelings was kind of like a sign of weakness. And now that I'm grown and, old enough, I do understand Ubuti. It's important for you to express your emotions. It's not necessarily a sign of weakness, but it's something that I still do struggle with. Even though I do know with expressing emotions is not necessarily a sign of weakness, I still struggle with expressing my emotions and my feelings. I struggle with even sharing my experiences. Like I'm not the type of person to just randomly be like, Ngani, 1, 2, 3 happened. I'm not. And I have so many friends that do that. Like all my friends probably come to me and they tell me, yo, 1, 2, 3 happened. And I can't because I struggle with expressing myself, right? Like it's so weird for me to just express myself. Like I have a friend, she will ask me like, yo, what's been happening with you? And I'll tell her like, okay, 1, 2, 3 has been happening. And then I realize, I'm expressing myself too much and this is a bit cringe. Then I'll be like, enough about me. What's been happening with you? I struggle with it. I'm sorry, but I struggle with it. You understand? I'm still trying to learn how to express myself better. I'm trying to share my experiences a bit more. I struggle with asking for help. I feel like I feel like when I'm asking for help, I'm bothering people. So I don't ask for help. But my mom has always told me that it's important that you ask for help. That way you open up this space for people to also come to you and ask you for help. Do you understand? So when you ask someone for help, you, in a sense, let them know it's okay for you to also come to me and ask me for anything, right? But in as much as I'm open to the idea of people coming to me for help, the idea of me going to other people for help, I just feel like I feel like I am a nuisance, and I feel like that is unnecessary. So rather I deal with it on my own, rather I figure it out on my, I always say I'll figure it out. I always say don't worry, I'll figure it out. I literally always say that, because at the end of the day I always do figure it out, even though it's a bit difficult compared to if I would be doing it with someone helping me. I am one person who overthinks. One thing about me, I will overthink, I will stress, and I'll be in my head. It's not a good thing, because majority of the time when I overthink, I tend to make my own conclusions on certain situations. And majority of the time, those conclusions aren't necessarily true, if I can say. Like, for example, I'll think, okay, Zmang Mang said this, and that's because they probably hate me. And they don't necessarily hate me. They probably were just joking. You understand? So I'm just there thinking, this person hates me. But that person probably just said that out of humor. Like, they were just trying to joke. You understand? But because I overthink, I'm now out here thinking this person hates me. But that's not how it is. You get? So I overthink a lot. It's not good, and I stress. I will procrastinate. I will literally unpack my wardrobe and repack it instead of studying. I procrastinate. I procrastinate a lot, especially when it comes to my academics. Other things, for example, filming a video, cleaning my room, doing laundry, cooking, da 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 da. I don't necessarily always procrastinate those things unless I have to. But in terms of academics, I son, anything and everything but books. Like, even though I know I have to, but don't tell me to study. Like, I'm one person that would literally drop an entire study table and not follow it. Why? Because I'm procrastinating. At the end of the day, I will study. Don't get me wrong. I will study. Probably like 2 days before, like 3 days before, or like a day before. But I will procrastinate. The first few weeks, few days where I feel like I still have time, I will procrastinate. Yeah, I have time. One thing about I have time, deceiving and misleading, because you don't, bro. Like, another thing that I struggle with is anxiety, and I will pair that with my social anxiety. I am an ambivert, which is basically having a good balance of the introvert personality and the extrovert personality, right? There are days when I will be out there having fun. There are days when I will be the one making plans with my friends, because I want to go out. Then there are days where I'm just like, I'm not going there. There are days where I will literally wake up and decide I am deactivating my social media platforms because I don't want to talk to anyone. And that is not because anyone did anything wrong, but because my social anxiety is taking over my entire personality, or like my entire social being, if I could say. In that moment, I don't want to talk to anyone. In that moment, I don't want to be seen with anyone. In that moment, I don't want to be seen by anyone. I don't want to be going out with anyone. I just want to go to school, come back. If anything, I don't even want to go to school. Just want to stay in my room and binge, literally, like, and just binge. Sometimes even my phone feels like it's too much, and I'm just like, I tuck it underneath my pillow. I remember last year I used to have this thing where I would make my bed, and then right after making my bed, I'd take my phone and put it underneath my pillow, and I wouldn't touch it for the rest of the day. Literally would not touch it unless I have to, but I would not touch it for the rest of the day. My friends would call me on some, yeah, when I open Duli phone, and I'm just there like, it's a what must I do? Because it's not with me. But in that moment, I genuinely just don't want to talk to anyone. So when life gets a bit difficult, I tend to pull away from it, and I do that by not being on my phone. I do that by not talking to anyone. I just do that by being in my own space, doing things on my own, just living in my own little bubble. And it's not good, because when you're going through stuff, you need to be out there with people who love you, people who bring peace to your heart, people who make you feel happy so that you don't think much about what you're currently going through. But I am one person who just wants to be alone. Another thing that I struggle with is my relationship with God. One moment I'm in my Christian girl era, the next moment I'm questioning everything, literally. And it's so hard to go back to your Christian girl era once you've taken a step out of it. Like, if you are a person who believes in God, the second you step out of that faith, or the second you question God, it's hard to go back to trusting him again. It's hard to go back to having the same faith that you had before. It's one thing struggling with building a relationship with God. It's another thing struggling with rebuilding a relationship you've once had. Do you understand? Like, it's so difficult. So I'm the type of person, not necessarily the type of person, but my struggle is having a rocky relationship with God. Next moment I'm in my Christian girl era. The next then I'm again, So there hasn't been much consistency in my relationship with God. However, I am trying to build that consistency, and I am trying to make sure with this relationship is one that I keep with me. Another thing that I've recently started struggling with is mental breakdowns, and I say recently because they started around about last year. But I have realized ukuthi the reason why I'm now having mental breakdowns is because of bottled up emotions, which takes me to my next struggle, which is running away from my emotions, which takes me back to having a big problem with expressing myself, right? So I'm not one to express myself, like I've already said. However, when I do feel a certain emotion, I tend to run away from it. And because in the past I've run away from a lot of the feelings and the emotions that I was feeling, everything kind of got bottled up inside, which led to me eventually breaking down. You know how they say, like, if you bottle up your emotions, they're one day going to come out in a burst, blah 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 blah. So my emotions, bottled up emotions, and my bottled up feelings, yeah, they came back to haunt me last year, and I started having mental breakdowns. I've had a few of those this year as well, but like I said, I realized Uguti, they come from me not being able to express my feelings, one, two, not dealing with my emotions.